Okay, so unfortunately, when I started recording this, I forgot to turn on the microphone. So this is me explaining how to set up the single player. I am doing reach resources for the sake of the tutorial. I'm turning on peaceful mode so that you don't have to worry about aliens attacking while I'm trying to explain the different components of the game. I'm showing you guys how to change the different frequencies, sizes, and richnesses of the materials through these drop downs. So you have these different sizes. I'm turning them all to very big just to make it easier to do the tutorial. Not increasing the frequency because don't need to do that. Those are the different terrain settings. I normally like to turn off cliffs, but we're not doing that for this particular episode so that I can show you the explosives. We're taking an overview of what the world was going to look like. It looks decent enough. There's our iron, coal, a little bit of stone, oil, uranium, and then we have the enemies. And the water. Yeah, and that's our starting point right there. A little tiny bit of water to start with. Introduction to the Factorio, letting you know that it's a free play. We're going to start moving over to the coal to start producing some coal so that we can start our automation process. So we put that down. And that's the burner drill. It mines the coal or whatever resource you put it down on. You can see where it outputs based off of the arrow showing there. We're going to make a pick so we can harvest our first little bit of fuel. There weren't trees around that I could just immediately harvest. You can put trees or coal in it to feed it. Control clicking will place it in. And now you can see that it is depositing coal on the ground. I'm showing you how to change the settings to show all the extra bits. You'll want that on. I turned it off thinking that it would get rid of the arrow on the coal, but it didn't, so I guess that's normally in. But I'm going to change it back so that in the future you will see all the UI stuff. It's really helpful. I don't know why you wouldn't want it on. Alright, we're going to go ahead and start sucking up the coal holding F. But that is not a very efficient way to do it, so you can just put this down. This is your furnace, and it'll just automatically deposit the coal into the furnace. Now we're going to go over and chop some trees down. This is also able to be used for fuel. You can also make storage boxes out of it. You can see that the storage boxes are made from 4 wood you go over to here and you can make 4 wood by using 2 wood, because each process makes 2. So we're going to come back over and make a box. Alright, so now we're going to move the mining drill and the forge, and by forge I mean furnace, and we're going to move it over here so we can start mining and smelting the iron. So I'm going to go ahead and control right click to put half the stack in, and then I'm going to control left click on the forge to put the rest in. Control left click puts the whole stack in, control right click puts half the stack in. Alright, so now it's smelting the iron. We can go ahead and drag it over, or you can just control click on the forge for faster access to it. Right here I'm going to demonstrate how to use a burner inserter. I also explain that burner inserters are usually something I skip over and use later, but that is how you would use one. You would put a fuel source into it and then you can just have it deposit into a box. But I tear this up because I don't really like to use burner inserters. The benefit to having an inserter place it into a box is that there's more slots. It stacks to 100 normally, but with the box you can have several stacks. Oh, it looks like we're working on power now. So I'm explaining that you need those 3 objects that I'm highlighting: the boiler, the steam turbine, as well as the offshore pump. That's what it was called, which requires the electronics and the copper cable, it requires the electronics, which requires the copper cables. And in order to make the copper cables, we're going to need to mine the copper ore and smelt that into copper plates. Right now it looks like we're going to start working on getting some more drills going so that we can start processing that copper. I'm demonstrating that it's much faster to break the rocks to get the stone you need right away, rather than just one at a time from the ore pile, the stone pile. Alright, so now I'm crafting the things required to mine it. And right here I'm going to demonstrate an efficient way of collecting coal. This is done by putting 2 burner inserters facing each other, and then by putting a little bit of fuel source in one of them, it will jumpstart the cycle, and then they'll just start feeding each other until they get full. And then you can just come over and then you can just control click on them to get the coal out of them. Alright, getting the process going for the copper. Getting another drill going for the stone. I'm gonna go get some more fuel to get the stone going. As you can see, I took the fuel out of one of those machines, which caused it to stop, but then the other one filled it up. Sometimes you could get it just right, so you take all the coal out, and then they stop moving. That's not a big deal. You could just put one back in, and then it just restarts the cycle again. Alright, just keeping things topped off. Just need a little bit more for the... There we go. Now we can get the boiler and get a steam turbine and then an offshore pump. Alright, gonna place offshore pump. That's gonna give us the water we need. We're gonna pump it into the boiler, which is gonna give us the steam we need, and then the steam turbine is gonna convert that steam into electricity. As you can see, it's flashing. That just means that it's not connected to an electrical grid. Placing that electrical pole down will connect it to a grid, even though there's nothing else connected to the grid. That was flashing to indicate that it had no fuel, so we put coal in it. Now it's running, turning the water into steam. The steam is filled up because the turbine's not powering anything, and now the steam. Now the boiler stopped because there's plenty of steam. I'm trying to get another steam engine going, but it doesn't look like I'm gonna have enough. But just so that you know, the ratio is for every one offshore pump, it can power 10 boilers, and every boiler can power 2 steam engines. So in turn, one offshore pump can power 20 steam engines. Now we're setting up our system to be completely electrical, so we're not dependent on coal for everything. We can just have one coal-powered object aside from the furnaces, and then just have all the mines powered by electricity. We're going to need more power or small electric poles, which require wood. So we're going to go ahead and cut up some more wood. Also takes 2 copper cables, which obviously comes from copper. We only have 1 copper, so we're going to have to go get some more after we chop some trees down. Alright, we've queued up some of those, so now we'll be able to power a few more items. I believe I'm explaining that right clicking will make 5 at a time and left clicking will make 1 at a time. Right here I'm trying to demonstrate how holding down the mouse button will let you place electric poles at the maximum distance. Later I'll fail to show how sometimes they won't want to connect because of the, like, it'll try to go to max distance from one pole, but it gets too close to another, and so it's like, well, there's no, you haven't hit the max distance yet, so I'm not going to place. It wasn't working for me because I didn't have it at the right distance apart, but later I'll go into it again, but it's probably something that would be pretty obvious. I again apologize that I totally forgot to turn on my mic, and it's probably actually saving you from a lot of the dumb things I've said. I think right here I'm showing you that the ore will only be collected right underneath the burner mine, and then right here you can see a transparent field that can reach even further. It's either that or I'm explaining that burner inserter will oh yep, this is what I'm explaining. So one burner inserter will feed one stone furnace at a 1-to-1 ratio, whereas the electric mining drill can feed 2 furnaces. So the amount of time that it takes for a furnace to complete its process, an electric mining drill can feed both of them. Right now I'm just increasing my iron supply because I'm going to need a lot of iron later on. And I will need more stone furnaces, so I need to make sure that this keeps going. We're just going to make it electric so we never have to think about it again. And then this is where I have a proper demonstration of what I was meaning when I was trying to click and drag and hold, and then you come into this problem where it's just in between and it just doesn't want to go at the max distance, and so I just square it off. Now we're converting the burner drill to electric. And just make a bunch of furnaces so that I can start my automation process. We run out of power right here, so I'm gonna just put some in. Put some coal in. But I'm also gonna set up a box so that I could just have a bunch of stacks in, and then it just feeds it. At least that's what I thought I was going to do. Oh no, I wanted to make an iron one because it fits more and I don't like wood. Yeah, so see how many stacks you can fit in that as opposed to just having the one. And this will only fill it to 5, which is really nice because say that chest was full or it was getting pulled from a belt, you can just take your extra coal and just dump it in if you're filled up on your inventory. Alright, so now we're coming over here, filling up on coal so that we can get that process continuing. And then we put that down so we can have more coal iron production. Alright, so we're going to come over and we're going to start making our electric inserters, also known as inserter. And we're going to have our ores get pulled from the outside belts that we haven't placed yet. And then they're going to feed into the furnace, and then from the furnace it's going to go to the inside belt. We're doing copper and belt, copper and iron ore, and we're going to have it put onto the center belt. Inserters like to stack on the further end of the belt. I'm going to start researching. I explain here that most people like to do the automation process first, but I like to do the logistics process first because then you get the splitters and the underground belts right away. And I don't generally start the automation process until I have the furnaces all set up. And then from then I can just have it automate via automation research. Alright, so we're getting the stuff that we need to make our first lab. And we're pretty poor on iron right now, so I can't make a second one like I wanted to. So I slap that one down, and then I go to make the science pack 1s. People call it red science. It's going to be called something else once 0.17 gets released. I believe it's automation science, but it's all it costs is 1 iron gear wheel and 1 copper plate. So start making those. I'm gonna make a box and I'm just gonna stick it in because once I get a second lab I can just have it I can just dump it into the box and then the inserters will take it to each of the labs. And they like to, the inserters will balance each other out. So one puts one down, the other then grabs and puts its thing away, and it goes back and forth between the two. So you don't have to worry about one filling up and the other one not. So here we go. I'm putting down more furnaces because I realize that I am extremely lacking on iron. So I'm just loading it directly into the furnaces until I get the automated process ready. This is where I'm showing how much better the electric mining drills are versus the burner and mining drills. And you can see once again there's a transparent box around it. And so not only is it able to grab more ore by itself, like underneath itself, but it also has an additional 1 block around it that it can harvest. So it's able to harvest much faster, or it has a much greater coverage than even 4 burner inserters. Just getting more coal to keep the furnaces going and suck up all the resources. And if I haven't mentioned it, it's you can control click on the building itself, and that'll allow you to take the material out of there. Alright, making the second lab and loading up on science so that we can get things finished. Get more materials, get more stuff going. Now I'm originally setting this up so that I can have iron on the bottom, but then I changed my mind, and then I make that so that it's copper. I'm moving the electric poles so that there's room for the transport belts as well as the inserters. Getting more copper, putting some science in. Placing things down like a fool, realizing I need to put a power pole down in order to power my inserter that I need to place. But I do not have inserters, so I'll go ahead and make some more. Getting rid of the extra power poles just so that the rest of the process can come first. There we go, some more science. Alright, so now we've got this all powered. I really don't like the way the power poles look. And so I think at this point I go ahead and clip the wires by shift clicking the power poles, and then I'm going to reline them by making copper cables, and then I wire them manually. So there you go, copper cables. Snipping the lines. And then replacing the cables by clicking on each of the power poles. And there we go, it looks beautiful. And more spider webs for cables. Right, making more sciences and then just dumping them in. And by dumping them in, I guess I was just going to put everything in, because if you control click on an empty space, it puts everything in. If you control click on each individual item, it puts that one individual item in. And this is where I'm demonstrating that the inserters will balance the way they insert. Alright, science is done. Now we're going to get automation done. This process goes really fast since I've got a bunch already made. And it only costs 10. Alright, so now we've got our splitters and we've got our underground belts. Going to make a few of those. Get rid of these sciences. Make some more mining drills, get rid of the old ones. Trying to figure out how I want to put the splitter. End up placing it in the wrong spot. This was pretty much close to where I wanted it in the first place, but then I was like, maybe I want it to be split down below, and then I realized that was a dumb choice, so I fixed that mistake quickly and place it back at the top. So the research that I want to get right now is steel. That way we can get the fluid handling at a later point, because I want to have a better steam power setup. So we're going for steel processing. And then this is where I'm setting up my coal line to feed my furnaces. Having to wait till I can get my electric mining drills, though, which are coming up now. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and have these face each other. I'm a little bit lazy, and I decide I'm just going to underground belt it. Underground belts are great because you can just squeeze them into tighter spaces and be able to just go underneath anything that gets in your way. See how normally you can't put the belts there? Yeah, you could just go under them with the underground belts, and it makes it really convenient. Alright, so we're going to just drag this out to the splitter, have it split off. Some of it's gonna, so we're gonna have them end up going on half the belt. I decide to move it back, that way I can do underground belts. That way things stay out of the way, as well as being able to get underneath that other electric pole. And then we have the other coal line going down. Get rid of those because we're going to move over to our new system. Gonna bring this over so that we can get it ready. Gonna make some more belts. This is when I realized that I had originally planned my furnaces backwards. I was thinking that iron was going to be at the bottom instead of the top, but clearly this is the better way. Alright, getting each ore on different halves of the belt by having them meet in the middle. Same thing over here. And I run out of power. Simple solution, just fill that up, take a stack, put it in the boiler. So now we've got the coal going down. It splits the load onto one half the belt and splits the other onto the other belt's half. And then so the coal will stay on one side and the copper or the iron will be on the other half. And then they go into the furnaces, and from the furnaces they'll go to the middle belt. Gonna make more belts to extend the ones that we have. Get some inserters to feed the furnaces as well as empty them. Alright, and then I'm just gonna fix this up so that it's a little more neat. Completely unnecessary step, but it was necessary for me. Making sure that we're feeding our furnaces before we're placing them to empty, that way we can at least have them going. And you'll notice that I've got them set up in pairs. Each mining drill, as I stated earlier, can feed 2 furnaces, and so it makes it really easy to see how many furnaces you need, because you can just count the mining drills, and then you could easily, by the way I have it set up, you could easily see how many you're gonna need. So we've got the 6 over here, and then we've got the 4 sets, so we need 2 more sets of 2. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. Right, those can feed in. Alright, and now I need to stretch out the lines. That way we have the full amount that we can forge. And as you can see, the copper line isn't getting nearly enough ore, so I'm just gonna have it feed into there, since I don't want it to all build up on that extra no possible way of being used belt. So there we go, we got our nice little base started. We've got our power, we've got our labs, the coal, or the copper is feeding into its furnaces. The iron furnaces are getting filled, and everything's coming out on 2 belt, or 1 belt, but 2 sides of that belt. And now we can go ahead and work on getting the sciences automated. Don't know if I do that now, but oh, I know, we're gonna go get our power automated. So we're making a couple of electric mining drills. We're gonna keep it separated from the rest of the forges, because I could just take the coal from those belts and then just bring it down to power. But instead I do it this way. That way, let's say I have too much coal getting burned by the furnaces. Since this is going to be separate, I don't have to worry about getting power outages due to that, due to running out of coal. So I've got it going a completely different direction to further keep it isolated from the rest. And then we're just gonna use underground belts. These ones can go a distance of 4. Later you can get better ones that can go to 6 or 8. And we're just gonna change the course, turn this underground, feed it through, feed the coal through, and that's pretty good. And then I realized, well, I don't want to put it there because if I continue the steam engines, then the belt's going to be in the way. So I'm just going to redo it. So I need to get some more underground, or get some underground belts, seeing as I've never made them at this point. Get some copper and for the this guy, the offshore pump. Get a couple steam engines, a boiler, maybe double up on it. Probably need a few of those. I'll need the regular pipes. Yes, you want to make sure you do the underground pipes first and then the regular pipes, because if you do the regular pipes and then the underground, then it'll burn up the regular pipes that you made, or it's going to use the regular pipes that you made, and then you'll end up with none. So always do that last if you're handcrafting. Alright, just doing it underground, getting it far away so it doesn't get in the way of anything. We're going to throw that down like so. And we realize that we don't have that research yet, so we're going to have to do it the basic way of just straight connecting. Bringing down the coal to just have it self-feed. Need some power to power the inserters that are going to do that. Which of course we didn't have any made, so we had to make them. There we go. And as you can see, I need to connect power lines to it because it's flashing yellow. So I go ahead and do that. Here we go, all connected. And just get rid of the rest of this crap. Right, we're gonna go ahead and set up our labs elsewhere where it's gonna be automated using the stuff we set up here. Just extend this a little bit out. Go ahead and make these assembly machines. Get some more resources, get rid of the basic ores. And get rid of the coal. Give to power first, because power matters more. And then just throw the rest away. Alright, so now we're going to place this down. We're going to make some iron gear wheels. So I'm going to come over here, select iron gear wheels, and I'm going to shift right click, and that'll copy. So I'm copying the gear wheels, and then I paste with shift left click. So shift right click copies, shift left click paste. And you'll notice that you're copying the machine itself, not copying the product. So I'm going to shift left click again, and it just copies it over. I don't have to copy it an additional time because you're copying the machine, not the product. So I switch it to electronic circuits, just left click, and it changes. So now we're going to just change it back to iron gear wheels because that's what we want. Alright, got to continue this a little bit forward, and then I can put my inserters down, give everything some power, and then I need to have an output. And get some more belts. And machines apparently is what I did, not belts. I'm thinking I need to get the power down. Still haven't connected to the rest of the grid, but I'll figure that out later. Turn those into the science pack 1s. Get some more belts. And the science pack 1s are going to need the gear wheels and the copper, so it's going to get the copper from below, the iron gear wheels from above, and then we're going to need to figure out how we're going to offload the products, which I will go into after I connect this. Okay, so yes, now it's running. We've got the iron gear wheels going across that belt, and then it's getting the copper from down below, and now we're going to have to get the output onto another belt, but we've kind of got it a little packed in. And so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get these guys, the long-handed inserters, which I will often refer to as long arms. And I realize I won't have power for it, so let's just slap this guy right there. Yeah. Oh yeah, so good. Alright. Then put the belts across, drag it out a ways, and just slap a couple power poles, and then labs and inserters, and call it good. There's different ways to do this. You could have the labs on either side and then just pull it off the belt, which I will demonstrate sort of to actually demonstrate it, but this is where I go into talking about demonstrating it. But eventually I decide that I'm just going to build underneath and have inserters pull it from those and put it down below. But I may be jumping ahead. Maybe I do that later. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about right now. So yeah, we're just gonna place that there, give it some power, give it another labs. Alright, oh yeah, and the reason why I'm going to do it the way that I'm going to do it is because there's so many different sciences that eventually you're going to run into an issue where, especially once you get to white science, it's going to be hard to feed them with all the different belts. So it's easier to just bring them all to one lab and then have that lab feed the other labs. And so that's sort of what I'm going to do here. So here we go. Throw that down. Throw it down, and then I'll just throw the other one down next to it. And then put the inserters down. Give it some power. And now they should feed each other. just like that. So the first one takes it, puts it in the first one, and then the next one will take it to the bottom one. And it always feeds the bottom first because that's as far as it can go. I was kind of thinking that I should be worried about power, but I wasn't anywhere close to it. Right, gonna set up a couple more machines to make more science packs, get that production going. Just gotta extend all the belts, get some power going. Fix the cabling mess that sometimes gets created when placing electric poles. But it's always important to have nice, neat cables. No, it's completely unnecessary. It's just for aesthetics. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and work on getting electronics because I need to get that assembly machine 2s, and then from there I'll be able to get my fluid what is it called? That. So yeah, this is the science that I want. No idea what I'm saying right here, but it looks like it's pretty important. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna start working on our science pack 2s. Those are gonna require a few of these machines. We're gonna need the inserters as well as the belts. And the inserters are a more complicated process. It requires 3 different items, whereas that only required 2. So we're gonna get our machines placed. We're gonna need more of those guys, the iron gear wheels, and they also need the copper wire machines. But we're gonna get a lot of the iron gear wheels because both the inserters as well as the transport belts require the iron gear wheels. And now this is a little overkill for what I'm about to set up, but I don't know, maybe it'll come in handy later. For now, I'm just going to suck up all the resources that I can just to have an overflow so I don't have to keep going back and forth. Let's go ahead and feed these, and then I realize, oh, there's not going to be power on the other side to make it even, so we're just going to do it this way. And once again, I'm out of inserters. So just craft some more. Get some of that sweet assembly machine 2 action going. Gonna place these together so that we have the iron gear wheels on both sides. So all 4 machines are going to end up depositing onto one belt. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put a splitter down here so that we can bring copper down below so that we can make our copper wires. Let's bring that down. We're going to need some more assembly machines. Oh yeah, the copper cables are for the electric circuits, which are for the inserters. So make a few more of these transport belts, bring it further so that we can get our copper cable machines going. I was originally thinking that I was going to put 3 down, but I decided against it. The reason why I was going to do 3 is because the ratio is better to have a 3 to 2 electric circuits versus, or copper cables to electric circuits. But I decided to go away from that just to make it a little more simple. So we're only doing 2. Another copy paste. Slap these guys down. This is where I realize that I don't want to do what I'm originally doing, so I'm just gonna put the electric circuit machine down later. Gotta leave space for the power pole. There we go, electric circuits. Put the transport belts down. That'll move the copper cables to the electric circuits. And I decided I didn't want to go any further than that, so I just cut it off. And then I realized, wait a second, I need the iron plates for the inserters, so I put it back in. And then I show that, oh, that's right. I put the transport belts in because I also need iron for that. And then I start making this setup or thinking that the electric circuits were the final product for green science. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's not true. And so I show you guys how to change things, but I'll get into that later. So this is me trying to figure out how I want to set it up to place the green circuits or the electric circuits onto the bottom of the belt, because inserters place their product on the far side of the belt. So I was going to have, because of that, I was going to have the electric circuits follow that path onto that half of the belt, the bottom half of the belt. And then okay, I say the bottom, but it's really the top from the angle we're looking at. But yeah, so it'll go to one half, and then the transport belts will end up on the other half. I have to move them because I need power, and I was silly and didn't think about that. And then now I'm feeding the copper cables into the electric circuits. Electric circuits are now going to the bottom, and this is where I realized my fatal mistake. Well, I suppose I have to get the iron gear wheels in first before I realize it. Okay, so this is where I decide that I need to try and take the half of the product off of the belt. And so I go into showing you how to go about doing that. And so I come over here looking for another machine. Oh, this is where I'm showing that you can't make the inserters with the assembly one machines, because they can only make up to a two ingredient process, whereas the assembly machine 2s can make up to 4 ingredient processes, such as the inserters. Inserters take iron gear wheels, iron plates, and electric circuits. So we're going to have to get rid of that and then replace it with the assembly machine 2s. See that? It's got different processes that it can do because it can have more materials in it, or more different materials in it. They're also faster too. The assembly machine 1s craft at 50% of your normal crafting speed, whereas the assembly machine 2s can craft at 3/4, which you can see in the right side of the screen where it says crafting speed. Right, so get rid of both of those and just replace it with that one. And then we'll make this into inserters, which is on the first tab. Alright, so this is how you can take the items off. You can place an underground just like that, and then once you drag out the belts, that overhead shed thing, whatever you want to call it, will stop whatever is going onto that half of the belt that it's blocking, and then it allows the rest of them to keep going. The other way to do this is making a filter inserter and then just program it to take off what you want. So we're going to go ahead, give it power, and then program it to remove the electric circuits. So now it's taking the electric circuits, and then you can put it into another belt or a chest or whatever, and it's split that way. Another way you can do it now, which I forgot in the video because it's somewhat new, is you can actually take a splitter and do that. I'll probably end up showing you how to do that in a later video if you can't figure it out on your own. But yeah, it's really nifty. Right here I'm showing that the filter inserter is based off of a fast inserter, and the fast inserters draw more power even idling than the regular inserters. So that's something you need to keep in mind if you're low on power. So I decided this is a dumb idea, and I'm just going to redo it all and make it better. Alright, so now I'm just going to have the base product come up to where I'm going to oh right, so I get the iron gear wheels and the electric circuits onto the same thing, and then I believe I'm going to have to underground belt those iron plates to get to the inserter. This is where I remember that I want to have the transport belts on the lower end, and so I do it like this. That way when I offload the inserters, then it will be onto the same belt. So that making an inserter, grabbing my long arm inserters and my not so long arm inserters. And we'll just have to underground belt. This one can skip over 4. The red ones can skip 6, and the blue ones can skip 8. And I was too lazy to put it down another power pole, so I just stuck it in the little available spot that I had. Alright, so we've got the 2 components that we need for green science. So we're going to go ahead and make one of those, and then we are going to set it to science pack 2s. Extend this out a little. Get ourselves an inserter. Give it power. And then set it to the science pack 2. I believe it's soon to be called logistical science. Get our long arms to skip over the iron and copper. And we're going to have to move that power pole. And just place it right there. That should be good. Because we're going to underground belt underneath the Science Pack 1 machine. And so we're going to need to get one of those, which we already have. So we'll just do that. And then drag this over to meet up with that. Alright, well, there we go. We've got green science going. It's nothing fancy, but it's going. Oh yeah, look at that sweet green science. Now, this is super inefficient because I've only got one machine and it's a 6-second process versus a 5-second process with 4 machines. So, pretty terrible balancing, but we're just going to deal with that because it's the tutorial. And we'll make a few more of these. Stick them there. Because I've got extra products, so I might as well make more. I decided to cut that since that was completely unnecessary. Change that over to a smaller one. And then move the belt this way. And up like so. Now I need to drag that out a bit. Put down an inserter. And there we go. Got a second machine going. I was thinking about how I was going to steal those belts so that I can just box them up and use them later. But I decided I was going to need more research before I could do that. Alright, and in order to get the storage tanks, or the fluid tanks, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to need steel. So that is what we will do. And I will get us ready for steel by making more mining drills. The way to do that is you make iron, and then from there you take that iron and you put 5 iron plates back into another furnace. And I realize that I've got this extra science. I'm just going to place it down with Z, and then just come back over here and finish what I started. Alright, so we've got the mines, slap them down over here. We're gonna put a lot down so that we can have the process go pretty quick, because making steel is a slow process. Because like I was saying, you need 5 iron plates to make 1 steel plate. And so we're gonna need a lot of furnaces. So we'll go ahead and split the coal, get rid of that, put down an underground, and I of course don't have one, so I'm gonna have to wait on those. Just have to wait for the mines. Just put more down. And give it power. And there we go. Don't have very many. And more mines. Should be a decent amount. Almost done. There we go, now it's making the mines, and then I'll be able to get my underground belts. Oh, right, making underground belts. Alright, gonna place this right here, go underneath that belt, and I don't have any regular belts. So I gotta make those and then bring that line over. I'm just gonna go over here and steal some more belts because I love stealing from science. And power. All right, so right here I'm trying to set up a way to get it on both sides of the belt, but then I realized, oh, that's not gonna work because that's just gonna stick them on the same side. So I gotta come over here, place down a splitter, and then do a little wiggly off on the right side. So right, up, left, and then turn that right, and then that will split them and then put them on either side of the belt, which will allow us to have a lot built up. Yeah. Alright, so go ahead and try and get the right angle, cycle through it 20 times, and then put it in the wrong spot, and then, what am I doing? Okay, yeah, let's just do that. Alright, that should work. Okay, so now we've got them on either side of the belt. And just drag it up. Go ahead and put down my furnaces either side. No, that's a bad idea. I want them all on the same side. And go ahead and get the groundwork laid, and I'm out of power poles. And gotta get more stone for more furnaces. Control clicking would be bad because I'd empty that whole box into my inventory. Alright, so we're gonna have to fill these furnaces and then put the iron into the second set of furnaces, and then from there we put the steel plates onto a belt. Oh, but I forgot coal, so what am I gonna do? Get rid of those. Well, I could actually just put those back, and then I can just have the coal belt right next to it. So I'll just have those feed inwards, put the coal belt on this side, and then just have those output onto the next belt using long arms. Yeah. Alright, so go ahead and split it here, and bend up, and that should be good. Clip that off, and then I need more power poles. Alright, place this here, feed those power, put that there, and then connect it all together. Right, so now 5 of those will go into here to make 1 of those steel plates, and then they'll come out onto this belt here, which I guess I'll just stick in a box. And there we go. And then inserter. Okay, I need to make a new one. I don't have the material, so I need to go get some more. Or I could steal it from science, because stealing from science is fun. And I can just take everything because I need those belts too. Right, place that there, and now it's filling up. Oh yeah, get some sweet steel axe, which I can't because I need more steel, and that takes a long time. So I'm gonna just increase the production and forget to skip one. And then go up from there. There we go, that's probably good enough. Get some more power poles. And gotta put them to line up with the ones that are already existing. And then put these guys down. Oh yeah, all that coal. And then that stupid rock had to get in my way. Get out of here, stupid rock. Oh yeah. Put all these inserters in. Feed them inwards so that they can get coal. Get those long arms down. And I had them facing the wrong way. Do I notice that in the game? I don't think I ever noticed that. Well, that's something to fix for next episode. I have no idea what I'm trying to explain over there. Oh, right. Yeah, so it doesn't look like it's going to be able to... I'll be able to add much more to it because it's already starting to dwindle. But we're going to go ahead and research this because I don't like small poles. They are the bane of my existence. And yeah, they're pretty awful. So we're going to get medium poles because they are the best. They're so much better. Better than all the rest. Let's get more of those guys. still not realize that those existing ones are backwards. So those are just gonna fill up with steel, and this is where I realize I need to have it go one more up, and so now that's working. Take all the steel from my tools. And oh yeah, I wanted to burn my pickaxe, but I realized I couldn't. However, I do want to let you know that you can burn power poles, which is something I'm looking forward to. So once I get those electric poles, I can swap out all the existing poles with those medium poles, and then I can just burn all the small poles. No idea what I'm explaining right there, other than the fact that I'm wanting electric poles, the medium and large ones. Alright, so right here I'm just gonna set up a little semi-automated machines to make me some belts so that I don't have to steal from science. And so I'm gonna need those to be gear wheels and these to be belts, and then I'm gonna place down some storage boxes. That way I can just put in the material and then they will just be fed by that. I realize that the power lines are going to be in the way because they're stupid, awful, filthy small poles, so causing issues there. And then I remembered that the long arms put stuff from 3 spaces, or moves items from 3 spaces away, so I decided to do it this way so I won't need the extra chests, and they could just feed each other. So we'll just do that, and then we'll do the same thing for the material boxes. So we'll just do that, and then all I have to do is put the chest down in the bottom left in the top right corner, and then that'll allow me to just put in iron, and then it'll just craft. I need these 2 small inserters so that I can have the output from the output from the assembly machines into that chest, and then I could just take it at my leisure. So here we go, put half stacks in. That's pretty good. Everything seems to be working okay. It's pretty quick. Already have a decent amount there. Alright, so let's go get some more material, and then we can go ahead and feed it more. There we go. That wasn't very much, so again, half stacks, and that should be good for now. Alright, well, I think that just about does it for this episode. We'll have more later. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know, and I will see what I can do about it. Definitely not professional. So thanks for watching.